Let's look at update. Okay, update is probably the most complicated of all of the select, insert, update and delete. There's an extra page needed for this. So we're going to update one customer. Okay, so we click on that particular link and we are into update customer1.php. So this page is rather similar to other sort of pages because essentially it is allowing us to do a select one. Okay, so we'll pick one customer. So let's say the boss is a rather strange name here. So let's get the boss, and this is going to be the first name. It's not customer underscore first name. So let's pick the boss, update this customer's data. So what I want to do is I want to select this one record. So it's so far it looks like select one customer. Okay, so if you remember in select one customer, we wrote the values of that particular customer record, the field values, into a HTML table. However, this time I want to update them, so I am going to write the values of the fields for that record. I am going to write them into a form, into text boxes, and we can then make our changes here. So customer first name, remember we're on the second page now, update customer2.php. So let's give the boss proper title as befits his or her role in life, sir or madam. Okay, and that's all. Notice I am not allowing the customer ID, the primary key, to be changed there. So we're just going to change sir or madam, customer first name, that's all that's changing. And then we have update the customer record. So this is going to be a bit like the second insert page, in that it was the second insert page was pure PHP, no HTML whatsoever. Okay, so this time the third customer page or update page is going to be update customer 3. That's going to do the SQL query, the update query, and then bounce back to the home page. Okay, so you can see we've bounced back to the home page, and let's go down and see has that change been made in the database. Customer, here we go, sir or madam, there it is there. Okay, so the change has been made, our SQL, our PHP SQL code has worked okay, our query is run properly. Okay, so 3 pages with update this time. Let's look at the code. Update customer, that's going to be very similar code to what we've had already. Okay, why is that? Because we got a selection list and option, and we are just displaying the customers in the selection list option. Okay, so as before, reading 3 fields for each record. ID becomes the value of the option, first name, last name, into the option, the text that appears in the selection list. Okay, so nothing new there. We click on the submit button, we go to the next page, update customer2.php, and we have a few things different here. Okay, first of all, picking customer, let's just double check we know where we're at here. Picking customer is the name of the selection list. We pick a valid option with a value, which will send the customer ID onto the second page. So picking customer, there it is there. Here is our temporary PHP variable that we need to sanitize. In theory, I suppose we don't need to sanitize this because we haven't typed in the customer ID. It's just come from a selection list option, but I suppose it's just good practice to have that on your code. To sanitize when there's a filter, a select filter. So select where. Okay, so we have our bind value for that. Sanitize it and then use the sanitized version in the SQL query, like so. And this time we know that this is only going to, this is primary key. Each primary key value is unique. So we know we're only going to have one record. So I'm just going to use a fetch this time rather than fetch all. And when you're selecting one, fetch is probably a handier thing to do, because fetch we only need to store one record. So we don't have a 2D array, 2D associative array. We just have a 1D associative array this time. Okay, so because of that, I don't need a for each loop. So I've just got customer details like that. So this is our 1D array, and I can just use that. You can see like so. Okay, so no for each, no, you know, all queries and as one query. There's none of that this time. Okay, so my form then, my form tag is going to envelop the data from that one record, and essentially I want the values from that record, I want them to become the values of the form elements. Okay, so notice what's going on there. Input type equals text. Here's the first text box. ID equals the customer ID. Name equals the customer ID. I don't want that changed, so I'm leaving that as read only. And then the value. Oh, sorry. That's annoying when you do that. Okay. What is the value? The value, I'm using PHP to write the value. Okay. I'm writing the customer ID in here as the value of the first text box. It's read only, so we can't change it. Okay. Customer username. There's no read only here, so I can't change this. Okay. So the value of this and succeeding text boxes has come from the database table for this particular customer. It's going to be displayed in the text box when the second page loads, but it can be changed, it can be edited. Okay, so we go on down through all of these form elements here. You might be thinking, well, county and country probably would have a selection list here. Yeah, how would I pick the county? How would I set it so it sets on the county that is already in the record if it was Louth or whatever, whereas the selection list would normally start at Antrim. Okay, that's something to think about. You need to use the selected property. You could have a go at that. I'm not going to do everything for you. And similarly with country, that could well be a selection list as well. Okay, so let's say we've made our edits on the web page. What are we going to do then? We are going to click the submit button, of course, and we want to go to the third page, update customer3.php. Okay, so let's think about what's going to happen here. All of the values from all of these form elements are going to go on to the next page, and we need to run an SQL update. And when we have done the update, we need to bounce back to the home page. Okay, so update customer3 will not appear in the browser. It will just happen in the background. So update customer3, what have we got here? All the information, all the values from the form elements on the previous page. Okay, like so. And remember, you have all this PHP in screenshots. So that's it all. We've got 5 from 18. We've got 13 here. Okay, we've got 13 form elements here. So therefore, we are going to have 13 bind values. Okay, one for each form element. Okay, so we're going to have 13 sanitized PHP variables inside our update. Okay, like so. So here's our SQL query. Update customer set. Okay, and here are our 13 sanitized PHP variables. And then just to the left of the equals in each case here is the name of the field in the customer database table. Okay, so that's what's going on there. And okay, set customer ID. Remember, that was read only on the previous page, so that won't have changed. Okay, so customer ID, and remember with an update you need the where clause at the end. So customer ID equals the customer ID. So set that there, and that's essentially the same code there. Okay, so that is the query. It's a big long one. Okay, so you kind of need to steady your nerve there when you're typing all that in. What are we going to do? We need to prepare our statements, link the query to the database, our 4 parameters, do our 13 bindings there, our sanitization, and then execute and close cursor. And just as with insert, there's no fetch or fetch all here because we're just updating, we're not selecting. Okay, so we update the record. When we've that done, we go back to index.php.